Yes, yes, yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Between Sets. Thank you for all the support that we've had so far. We've got more guests, more features to line up as well. This question today is a very interesting one. I think it's going to test a lot of people's thoughts, very thought-provoking, and I'm excited to get started. And my two guest appearances today are people that I've known for a long time, I would say, over 10 years, I'd say. But yeah, if you'd just like to do a quick introduction, give your name, what you do, and what got you into fitness.
Yeah, so my name's David. I work as a sales specialist for a tech company called Ingram Micro, and I do a few other bits on the side. I think what got me into fitness was just kind of at the start seeing, body types and body shapes that I really liked and I aspired to look like. And then obviously as I got older, it was more just maintaining a certain standard of fitness that kept me healthy, kept me fit, and allowed me to, do more and actually be more active and alive during the day rather than slumping and walking around and stuff. So that's what's, kind of kept me going. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My name's Kay. I work in pensions as an account handler and then also do content creation as well on the side. And what got me into fitness was I've always played football, so I think that was a big part of fitness growing up, like trying to stay fit enough to play for the teams that I wanted to play for and to even get into teams and try and play at the highest level I could. So that's what kind of motivated my fitness journey and started my fitness journey. And then as time went on, I kind of moved away from football and focused more on gym and like just normal fitness, day-to-day fitness to keep myself going. And I think like having a good body was important to me and just being like healthy was important to me as well. Not just fitness, but like diet and just well-being. So yeah, that's what got me into fitness.
Cool, thank you for that, guys. All right, so today's question. They're laughing because they know it's a sticky one. All right, loyalty versus integrity. If your friend publicly does something morally wrong, do you stand by them or do you cut them off? Who wants to answer?
Let me do my push-ups. Let me do my push-ups first and then I'll answer.
I feel like this question is a tricky one because the word morals or morally is subjective to each individual. So I believe everyone has a different moral compass, which means where someone might deem something as good or as bad, it could differ for each person. So I feel like it depends on for me personally, it depends on what the person has done. It depends on what that person is like, what kind of habits they have, who they are as a person. There's loads of like variables to this. So I think it just really depends on the scenario. But like if I want to put a situation out there, like a situation that's quite touchy, let's say someone were to kill someone, or and your friend did it, and the question is, would I stand by them or cut them off? I feel like it would depend on why they did it. It would depend on who it was. There's factors as to why. Like it could be they did it to defend themselves, but then it also, on the other hand, it could be they did it out of like getting revenge on someone or something like that. So there's certain things I could stick by, certain things I couldn't.
Even though the action was wrong itself.
I think sorry, bro. I think it's a hard one. I think there's certain nuances with this. I think it's never black and white. I think obviously from what Kay was saying in terms of if it's a situation where your friend was defending themselves, obviously you would stick by that person. But I think if it was in the sense of revenge, I think you then now would have to go back to kind of the core of the situation of how have you gone through X amount of years of friendship with this person and not known they had that type of streak to be revengeful and go and murder someone. Do you get what I'm saying? I think it almost comes down to the type of person you surround yourself with, and then that being that kind of justifier for what that situation might be. Because I think there is obviously a base standard for morality. I think we all in some sense of the word were raised around Christian values or religious values that kind of gave us that base value for morality. But then I think it's difficult to then answer, okay, what if they go murder somebody for revenge? Then you kind of ask yourself, as a friend, did I personally do enough to stop them from getting to that point? or how can I justify carrying on being friends with them? Because if I was to do something to them, would that revenge come back to me? Do you get what I'm saying?
It's very challenging because I think if you want to dissect it, by the question itself, what do you deem as socially or morally right and wrong? So, me stealing from a corner shop, is we all know is morally wrong, but you might turn a blind eye to that. That's a bit more forgivable. But me murdering someone, or let's say drink driving, and I happen to just murder someone, we all know that's morally wrong. But are you willing to turn a blind eye to that? I think with the Get situation, that showed that a lot of people are not forgiving. Yeah. Even though we know it was wrong. I'm sure he knows it was wrong as well. But to society, we saw how quick they flipped on a well-known figure as well. Yeah. So...
Is there something where, to your point, right? I think we've reached a point in society where there's two types of moralities now. There's morality that we know is true, and there's social morality. Yeah. There's what we look on social media and we say, that's right, that's wrong, this is this is that. Because you see a lot of people do things on social media, the world is an uproar that this is morally wrong and this is all of these things. But if there wasn't social media, do you think people would be as fussed? Do you think people would care? And do you think, and think about this, right? How many people kind of get hit and run on a regular basis? But then there was this massive uproar now about hit and runs and killing people and the morals of it, but just because it was Gets. So I think if it was in a situation with, our friends or our family or whatever it is, I think we would have to make our own judgment calls. But initially, when obviously I wanted to have this conversation, I had to think about myself and what I would personally accept from what I see. Because I know there's things like we would never accept, but I know for a fact, and maybe I might just be speaking for myself, but there might have been things that my friend has done that you've done this, but has it crossed the line for us to maybe cut it off?
That's a really good point, and it's an interesting point, because I feel like this also leads into how true to yourself are you? Yeah. Because I feel like growing up, I probably had a lot of friends that maybe I shouldn't have had. Yeah. And as I've gotten older, I've set certain boundaries for myself of things that I will allow and things that I will not allow in my life. So it's like, I'm strong enough in my mind to know that even if me and you are best friends and you cross a certain boundary, that's the end, no matter what. Yeah. But sometimes you might do that because maybe you don't know any better, or maybe you're too afraid to cut that person off. Maybe you're scared to be alone. Like there's loads of factors. There's a lot of factors. So I feel like it's really difficult. And I think what you said was a really good point in terms of there's social morality as well, because everyone paints themselves to be a perfect picture on social media, but I think social media is a loud minority. Yeah. It's not a lot of people. Yeah. However, it's just very loud and it's out there. It's in your face. Yeah. You get me? But if we're speaking in terms of like the grand scheme of everything, like it's not really a big amount of people that might think of certain things or create certain narratives. I feel like they get created and then it gets pushed into the masses.
And then they feel like they have to agree because
exactly.
Yeah. I think I don't want to talk about the Gets. No, I do 3 sets in it. So yeah, back to push-ups. I think the Gets situation was a good indicator of how people perceive things socially. That's when it kind of opened my eyes, because he went from a person with an image that was well respected, well loved, to almost hated overnight. And of course, what he done was completely wrong. I think he knows that himself. Everyone knows that, but it's just very hard to forget all the good someone has done and they've tried because of one bad moment. And does that really define that person? That's where I'm sure his family are a bit more forgiving and a bit more understanding, along with his friends, compared to everyone online. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Do you know what? I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of friendships, in terms of morality, because even like, let's take it to America, right? And I don't want to be too bleak, but let's look at these kids who walk into school with a machine gun and they do the absolute madness. You will always find when a reporter videos their mum and dad and they say the same sentence. He was such a sweet boy. He was never like this. I couldn't imagine that he would do this. And it goes to your point of gets his family, because us as knowing somebody for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all my life, it's then when that person does that thing that questions A, the morality, and B, your integrity, it's drowned by 15, 16 years of joy, happiness. I remember when I called him at 3 a.m. because this situation happened and he drove to get me. I remember when I had £5 in my bank account and he sent me 3 bills when he only had 4 bills. I remember this, I remember that. So it's such a difficult conversation. And then back to your minority in the social aspect, that minority will tell you, no, that doesn't matter. Cut him off. What? Cut him off.
Well, he wasn't there for that.
Do you get what I'm saying? Exactly. So cut him off, whatever. So it's very hard to not listen to the noise, because the way social media works right now is when the noise becomes so loud, it's literally all you can see. So even when that guest thing happened, I remember even asking myself, thinking to myself, what would I do if that was my brethren? How do I speak to my brethren? How do I call him? Do I call him on some, yo, like, do you get what I mean? And then another point, let's look at young Philly and Chunks. Twins, podcast, duo. Young Philly catches the R charge. He's banged up in Australia. Chunk says nothing. Goes. So then, do you think he would have been that quiet?
Well, he said nothing publicly.
Nothing publicly. Sorry, but that's what I'm saying. And the social morality thing? He couldn't say anything publicly, because anything he said would have been taken as you're defending Philly, you're not backing Philly. So there's not really a middle ground.
And I feel like with topics like that, there's a level of like sensitivity to it where anything you could say could just come across so outrageous. Do you know what I mean? It could be so obnoxious, arrogant. You get me? So it's like with that's a very touchy subject for a lot of people as well, especially the female demographic, because that's who it directly affects. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my opinion. I feel like ladies on social media platforms can be very loud about their opinions on stuff. Yeah, and it can be powerful, yeah, for sure. So I feel like that situation, for me personally, like, obviously I don't know how true the situation, I don't know the ins and outs, but if that was my friend who did something like that and it was true, and this person has been found guilty for it, like, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
No, you're gonna have to.
You get me?
I think most people would probably in that incident,
but then it's like, what if, for example, your friend has been found guilty, but what if they're saying, I genuinely haven't done this?
Oh, if they didn't do
they're saying they haven't done it, but they've been found guilty. Where does that lead you? Like, where does that lead you? Because that leads into the question, doesn't it?
That's a great.
Because like, what if what they're saying to you is so convincing that they genuinely didn't do that? Like, you know this person, and 9 out of 10 times
never committed a crime in their life.
no, like
In a
sense of they've never done anything like this, and they're telling you, look, like, Dan, I didn't do this. Like, I genuinely didn't do this. But the evidence is suggesting I have, but I genuinely haven't done this. And they're adamant that they haven't. Because there's situations where people are accused and it's false. So you got to factor that in as well. And then this is the problem with social media. Like, people get rubbed out, but the situation isn't what it seems. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it might make your situation with your friends change, because it's like, cool, I feel like what you did, like, wasn't actually that bad. Maybe, I don't know, whatever that person did isn't that bad, but socially you're a reject right now. Like, you're X'd off. So how can I associate with you?
The case of that is, I'll say Mason Greenwood. He's a good example of that, because we all publicly saw what he had done. to that extent anyway. We don't know the ins and outs. We were not in court with them. The partner didn't ever come out and say he done X, Y, and Z. But from what we're seeing with the voice notes and the graphic pictures, that was very hard for anyone to digest. I remember seeing it on a Sunday morning. I was like, whoa, this can't be the same little boy playing football at United that's done this. And it definitely, I was like, damn, but I love that he's such a good footballer, but what he's done is wrong. It wasn't till I saw that his partner had now got back with him, and then he had a child with her, and then the case had dropped, and I was like, why are we...
Why did we go through this almost...
Why do we care so much if the person that is accused that he's done it has dropped the case, and on top of that, they now had 2 babies together. If she can forgive him, why can't I forgive him?
Yeah.
And she's the one that went through it. He didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
So when I started seeing stuff like that, I was like, damn, like, why do people socially feel so entitled to have an opinion, or they were not at the court case, they weren't at the place that it happened. Why do they feel so loud and right about it? Don't know. What do you think?
Bro, that's a great one, man. That's a great one. I think the age of social media, in my opinion, is a double-edged sword. The reason why I say this, I think hand in hand, it's easily the best thing that's ever happened to us, but at the same time, the worst thing that's ever happened to us. Because back to Dan's point of, if his missus has decided to forgive him, why is there still so much uproar around what he did? But I think social media has allowed everybody's opinion to be seen in one place. So people will give their opinion. I think it's hard. It is hard because like you said, I've known Dan for 10 plus years. I've known Kay for 10 plus years. I've got friends that I've known for 17 years. So it's hard for me to sit there and, like, let's say something happens and then my brethren's like, I didn't do it. The world will tell me, doesn't matter what he's saying. It doesn't matter what he said, he did it. This is what the evidence is saying. But they don't know his character, they don't know what he's done, they don't know what I've seen, they don't know. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, yeah, but you don't know what your brethren does behind closed doors. But I do. Do you get what I mean? Like, you're to a degree.
I feel like that leads me into the thought of how well do you actually know somebody, and how well do you know them to make a judgment on their character, on to decide whether you would stick by them or you'd cut them off if they'd done something wrong, and it was like in the public. How well do you actually know someone? Because like you said earlier, a lot of times something happens and then in the news you hear them saying, oh, he was the most loveliest, sweetest boy ever. But it's like they say, what did they say? They say, like, there's a version of you that everyone knows, there's a version of you that you know, and there's a version of yourself that nobody ever knows. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you know there's not a, like, dark little hidden place in this person that you never knew of, but was always in them? You never truly know someone, not 100% anyways. So
I feel like there's definitely a side to all of us here that probably we don't even know that we could. So God forbid something seriously happened, you now might go on a rampage and you do X, Y, and Z, but that's not you. That's not David that I've grown to know him for 10 plus years. Like, it was just that, again, that split decision that you made at that time. And we don't know what triggered it. It could have even been a mental thing. It could have been, it was just a sporadic moment where your judgment was just poor. It was just a very poor judgment. But again, it doesn't define you or your character. And not entirely anyway, but I don't know. I'm always someone that, like, I have a very forgiving heart. So there's people that's probably done me wrong and I've given them a second chance and they haven't let me down since. Because I was a bit more emotionally aware and mature to understand that one decision doesn't define a person. Something that I done 10 years ago is not going to be the same thing that I do now. There's things that we've all done here that we 100% would never do again. And I think ever since I got closer to God, that's when I kind of opened myself up to being a bit more forgiving and understanding. And I don't know why everyone online doesn't have that same approach, especially the ones that claim that they're religious or Christian. They don't.
It's always the Christian ones. Sorry, I was just gonna say quickly, it's always almost the Christian ones that are the loudest, but they're never the easiest or most forgiving.
I noticed that within religion as well.
Yeah. Oh, within religion. Okay.
No,
Within religion. Yeah. This is why I like to separate religion from like how I think sometimes, because I separate religion with how I think, because different factors. For example, you might be Muslim, you might be Hindu, I might be Christian. We're not all from the same religious background, which means our morals might not align. Because
You think so? 'Cause I would have thought all the, especially
to a degree,
Abrahamic
okay, to a degree, yes, but then it's like culture comes into play, and religion and culture come closely together. So it's like what I believe in might not be what you believe in. So I try to separate religion from myself sometimes, because the way I see religion is it's like man has made it, you get me, and it's what we use to follow our spiritual journey, right? So sometimes I think, let me think as a person, because I think
But then what scopes what you think like a person?
humanity.
But
Yeah,
what's
and humanity is
man-made as well then?
yeah, it is man-made, but it's a bit different. It's like I feel like humanity is just organic living, like people are just doing what people do. Like history repeats itself.
Yeah.
So let me lead into my point. So I'm saying that when I say I separate religion from myself, I mean in a sense of I'll think to myself, okay, like I always say people are gonna do what people are gonna do, right? And for example, think about how many wars that have been going on recently, but then we see it now on social media, so it probably seems a lot worse than what it's ever been. But this has happened for years and years and years, and it's never changed. So it's like now that we're aware of it, I feel like people are more like, oh, like this is So it's like, but this has been happening. So then this leads back to the point of what I'm saying originally, where it's like I separate religion or anything else and try and treat people as just a person, because we all make mistakes. You get me? And like you say, should that poor judgment and the bad mistake you made, should that be the end all? Should that be it for that person? Like,
See, I've got a thought-provoking question, and this one's a bit techie, and this one tests, I think, morality, integrity, and loyalty. So let's say your brethren's girl are chilling at the crib, yeah. Your brethren ain't ever, like, you ain't never seen your brethren like this. You might be like this in private, but you ain't never seen it. They're chilling, whatever. Your brethren's girl does something that pisses off your brethren. He goes on a mad one, starts smacking her up, whatever, in front of you, yeah? You stepped in, yo, loud that, like, you ain't gonna do that in front of me. You beefed your brethren, he's gone off, cooled off, whatever. A week later, police knock at your door. They're like, we'll call her girl X. Girl X has filed a complaint. She said, you've seen everything. We need to take a report. What do you do? And mind you, you've never seen your brethren do this. You've known your brethren for 10 plus years, but police have now come to your door to get a statement on your brethren's girl getting smacked up by him. What do you do?
I'll answer first. That's a really hard question. But do you know what? Like, that's a really good question, because this is directly your question. So, me in my current state right now, the first thing I would try and do is I would see if there's an opportunity where I could speak to my friend's girlfriend and say, look, is there any other way we can handle this? Because I would like to give my friend some grace, knowing that he's never done something like this before. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he needs therapy. Maybe he needs help. I'd like to do that. But if she's adamant that no, this is what I want to do, if maybe she even says, look, you don't know what happens behind closed doors in the relationship, I have to respect her decision. And if I was there and I witnessed that, I got to think about, I've got sisters, I've got a mum. What if someone did that to them and they needed their help? What would I want that person to do? Do you get me? So I'd respect her decision and I'd back it, bro. I would, yes, I'd back it. You get it? Because, bro, call me what you want. I think, to me, that is what is morally right. That's what's just. I believe in justice. I don't care what the blogs or whatever other people may deem me as. Call me what you want. I feel like I've done good in my heart, so that's fine.
What, you would want, obviously, you want justice for the girl.
Yeah.
Result in that your boy's going to prison. That's what I'm saying. Because if he's found guilty, you're giving a witness statement.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So he's going to go to prison now.
See, this is what I'm saying. Before it gets to that extent, I'll do everything I can to prevent that. But if that's what she wants, bro, I'm not gonna be a bystander to a girl getting beaten on. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not on that. So if it means that, broski, you got to do a sit down and reflect on the things that you did that weren't right, that led you there, then you got to sit down, bro. I wouldn't want to, don't get twisted, but in my heart, I wouldn't feel good turning a blind eye to it.
I think I'm on. Yeah, I think I'm on Kay's point as well. I would second that. I would grill my boy. Like, I would stick it on him to a point like, you've let everyone down now with what you've done, because you should never ever put your hand on a woman, ever. So that's the way I've been raised, innit? I've never ever, like, my dad's always told me, like, when it comes to women, I know they're very emotional people. They will know how to get you out of character, but if any way you can, just get yourself out of that situation. So, and I stand by that, because if you're in control of your body, as in you can walk up and down, you should be able to control yourself from hitting a woman, unless it's self-defense or something like that in that case. But yeah, that's way different. So yeah, I would have to grill my boy, and then I'll have to tell him, unfortunately, bro, like, you got to do your time. And that's it. I don't know if I'd give a statement though. I think that's very.
That's what I'm saying. If I don't have to give a statement, like I said, I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? If there was other ways to go about it, then I would. However,
And it's not even a case of like I don't want to be labelled a snitch. It's more the case of like, I just don't want that being on his record forever, and me being the reason he's gone to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. If I can do anything, my first point was, if I could do anything before it gets into that, I would. I wouldn't want to just outright be like, yeah, police, this is him, go get him. Like, I wouldn't do that. 'Cause that's just crazy. Him, go get that boy. That's not what I'll do. Like, that's not my instinct to go and do that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know, bro. I was gonna say bang on. Like, I think first and foremost, I think it needs to be a listen, bro. What you did was a mazza. Like, I don't even know how I personally feel about you now, even irrespective of the conversation with the police. Okay, let's part that. That ain't even happened yet. But after it's happened, I've taken my brethren outside, I've cooled him down. I have to be honest with you, I don't know personally how I feel about you now, because I haven't got sisters, but I've got cousins that I'm really close to. I've got little nieces, I've got a Marge. Now in my head, it's like, rah. Obviously, I know he would never do that to my Marge, but it's like, you've done that to a woman. So already there's that almost boundary and barrier broken down. So then when it then comes down to now, if I do or do not have to give a statement, I think it needs to be a conversation of, listen, bro, this is the position that your actions have put me in. Do you get what I'm saying? I haven't put myself in these actions. You've put me in this situation. For that very reason, I'm picking the side that makes me wake up every morning and not feel like the worst person in the world. Because look at it this way, yeah. You could be lucky enough where they let you no comment all the way through, right? Which is in most cases you can, because you're not forced to ever give a statement. But what happens now that your brethren's heard what you said, he pretends he's good, he then now gets vexed because she's called the feds, pulls up back at her crib, and then now it's another mazza. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a hard one. I don't know if I could, and this is just me being honest, I don't know if I could honestly sit there then and then straight away say this is what happened. I think maybe the first situation I might no comment, but I think after a while, I think guilt will just eat me up, and I think eventually I would be driven to go back in there and be like, yo, listen, this is what happened. But then I think at the same time, you also need to talk to your boy in the sense of, listen, bro, this is what's going to happen. You've just got to firm. You've got to figure it out. You've got to go through the process, and hopefully it brings you out on the other side better. But I think witnessing it, turning a blind eye to it, it's bad. Yeah.
Before you say what you're going to say, so let's say he's done his bid, he's got 18 months in prison, he's done his bid, would you now be boys with him again?
I feel like we could be cool, but I feel like the dynamic and the friendship would definitely change. We'd probably never be as cool as we once were, because at the end of the day, ultimately, I've witnessed you put your hands on your girl, and I've sent you to prison. If I gave a statement, do you get what I'm saying? So you're probably gonna always have that little bit of resentment towards me. And I'm probably gonna always have that weariness about you. So we'll probably never truly be what we were before. So I think that being said, like we could probably still be cool, but it would probably not be the same friendship it once was.
Okay, flip it. By the way, PSA, public service announcement. None of us are women beaters. I just want you to before I say this, we're not women beaters. But flip the script. Let's say you were the brethren, right? Your brethren's snaked in air quotations. You've gone pen. You've done your 12 months. You've come out now. How do you feel towards your brethren? And I don't want you to look at this in the respect of typical male bravado of bun him, bun my man. Think about it, about yourself, your heart, the way you are as a person.
I can answer that easily. I know how I'm like as a person, yeah? When I make mistakes, I like to take accountability. If I mess up, I'll own it. You get me? I'm not perfect, I'm human. We all mess up. So if I came out, I would understand why I was there in the first place. Anytime I've ever done anything in my life, there's always going to be a consequence, whether that's positive or negative, right? Yeah. Do you get me? Whether it's a good consequence, whether the outcome is good or bad, it's due to my action, right? And I'm aware of what will come from the things I do. So I'll have enough time in those 12 months to process, all right, I should have never put hands on her, for one. My brethren, although I didn't want him to handle the situation like this, he did, and that's how he saw fit to deal with the situation. So I have to respect what he did.
Do you not think natural resentment is a thing?
It is, but I feel like I'm very like, I'm understanding as a person. I understand why people do the things they do. That person in that time that person might be thinking, this is the only way I know how to deal with this. You get me? Yeah. Whereas maybe for me, bro, we don't do that. We don't talk to them. We handle it in-house. But if that's how he knows to deal with the situation, I can't expect anything else. People are going to do what people are going to do, bro. Do you get it? It's true, bro. Like, people... I say it all the time, bro. You're going to do what you're going to do, regardless of what I say. Whatever you're going to do is what you're going to do. Do you get me? So I can't control that. That's an external factor. You get me? So I personally wouldn't have any resentment towards them because I caused it in the first place. You get me? If I never put hands on her, he wouldn't have to do what he did. I wouldn't have put him in that position. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm on the same page on that as well, in the sense of it's just a hard situation to put someone in the first place. I think even you're forgetting, you're saying friends, bro. Even the situation you're putting your parents in, your siblings in, So I think hopefully if you came out of prison, and you've done your time and you've reflected on it and you see it's forgiveness from God, I think everyone else should forgive you as well. But the society we live in, I don't think people are wired like that, really. But yeah.
I think it's definitely one of these ones where I think, like, back to Kay's point of the fact of, I also think that I'm a really understanding person, and I think I would maybe come out of that situation almost like same way as you. Like, I did that. So because I did that, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. I'm now coming out of prison, and my sister or my cousin, so I don't even have a sister, my cousin is gonna look at me a certain way because my cousin's a girl. I've batted up a girl. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think I would never step out of that situation almost like, bun him, he's a snake, like how dare he? But, and this is just me speaking wholeheartedly and honestly, out of knowing, to your point, people are gonna be people, that there's always, no matter how small it is, there's always that feeling of, my nigga snaked me. You're always gonna feel like that because it goes back to the point where I was saying that you know there might have been some things that your boys have done where you've looked at it a little bit like, but it's not crossed the line, but you've looked at it like that. Those where you've looked at it like that, in your head now, it crossed the line. Do you get what I mean? And you're going to say to yourself, well, I didn't snake him. I didn't say anything. I didn't call no one. I didn't, when he was doing this on holiday with next gal and his wife, he was at home. When he was shotting, do you get what I'm saying? You're going to now come at a pen and you're going to think to yourself, yo, all of those times where I covered up for him and he couldn't do this for me, as hard as it's going to be, you are going to feel like that.
But then, okay, then how good of a friend are you? You get me? Because if you see your friend doing things that you're not seeing as right, but now that you've been put in a situation where your friend deemed it as wrong, and now you're thinking about all the times where he was doing X, Y, and Z, why didn't you put him in place? Why didn't you put him in check? Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like this is like a maturity thing as well. Because the younger me would have probably turned a blind eye to certain things and just let it slide and not gotten involved because it's like, that's not my business or whatever. But as I've gotten older and more mature, you realize, yes, it is. And I've got a duty of care if I'm witnessing something. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. It's facts, bro. Like, if I witness something that I don't think is right, I believe I've got a duty of care. And if I don't do anything about it, I'm a bystander, bro. And who knows what's to come from it? You get me?
True. Very true. Yeah, man. Morality, integrity, loyalty. It's a very, I think, unconventionally blended mix. I think I almost look at it like an onion, in the sense of it's got so many layers to it. There's standard morality. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't murder, don't do this. There's social morality. That joke's not right. You can't say that. You can't wear this. You got to respect everybody's this. There's religious morality. Don't drink. Don't go to that party. Don't do this. Then there's like morality within your friends, in your family. Because without thinking about it, each friendship group has their own code of conduct. Each friendship group has, some friendship groups verbally say it, but some friendship groups have that underlying conversation where they all know this is the morals of the group. If you step outside of this, you're outside the morals of the group. But if you tell another person or another group what you've decided, they might look at you and be like, rah, is that what you man are on? So I think this question is so difficult and it's so thought-provoking because there isn't a right or wrong answer. But people will tell you that there is a right or wrong answer. And it's hard. And you want to answer honestly, which I do believe everybody in this room is, but I think people might. And then this is a funny thing about social media. I know for a fact somebody will watch this and be like, nah, they're lying. They wouldn't say it to the feds. They're lying. They wouldn't snake their brethren. But people are gonna be people. People are gonna make their own opinions of whatever they see. So you can never be right. I feel like you're always gonna somehow find a way to be wrong.
Yeah, I think what you said is very key. Like, there's no right or wrong when it comes to morality.
There's no right or wrong when it comes
to morality. Like, it's subjective. Morality is subjective to each individual. I don't think we probably all have different morals. We all defo have different morals we might have similar morality, but there might be certain topics we could clash on because you believe different to what I do. So what makes you right and what makes me wrong? It's hard to judge. And who are we to judge? Like, can we judge?
That's what I kind of go back to sometimes. I think, as I said, when I got closer to God, I just started looking at things differently. In the sense of, I didn't want my judgment to just rule on everyone else. Like, it's not fair. Like, I don't know what that person's been through. Because I don't know what they've been through. I don't know how they were raised. Like, again, this is down to emotional intelligence. Like, once I picked up that everyone comes from a different background, if someone's grown up and seen their parents drink since they were young, I can't now say, I don't like chilling around you because you drink, innit? Obviously, they have the choice of drinking or not, but if that's all they've seen growing up, it's a lot more harder for them.
This is my question, right? Like, we're kind of tiptoeing around the question a little bit. If I'm being real, we're tiptoeing around the question because at the end of the day, we have, in this world that we live in, this modern world we live in, we have court, right? And we've got law. And there's judges in there, right? And they factor in everything before sentencing someone, right? Whether we deem it as fair or not, that's what they do. That's their job, which means they're professionals at judging people, right? And their character. So it's like, as people, we do judge people, and there are people that are appointed these positions and jobs. So are those the people who are, like, I guess, do they set the standard in terms of the moral compass? Do you get what I'm saying? And if they are, why are we not, like, following leading? If they're leading by example, why are we not following that? And why are we not applying that to our practice in day-to-day life? Because if this person has done something that's morally wrong in the public eye, how would the court handle it? Why are we not looking at it like that? Why are we not excusing our personal relationships with people and treating them based on what they've done? Like, it's a question.
Yeah, it's a very.
I think my personal thing, right, is I've always believed in law. It's not about, so I can't remember what the saying specifically is, but let's say somebody murders somebody, right? It's not about proving that they didn't do it. It's about proving that defense can't prove that they didn't do it. So when you look at morality in terms of justice systems and the legal system, I think it's too wishy-washy. It's too slip and slide. There's too many factors why this person might walk away and not get caught for something that they did, or this person might go to prison for something that they did. And to go to your point why I don't think people follow that as the idea of morality is, there's been too many situations where we've seen somebody do 45 years in prison, found out that he didn't do it.
But then what about the people? Like, I get that point. That point is valid. But then it's like, as people, how do we base our morality? Like, is it just, as an individual, you choose what you think is good and bad? Or is it based on your other friends' opinions? Like, what is it based on?
I'd say life.
Life experience?
I'd say life experience. I think life experience is the end all and be all. I think I'm 27 now, going on 28. I wasn't born in UK. I was born in Niger, came here when I was 8 or 9. My life in Niger to my life here was almost like a black and white. But I think because I had that experience in Niger, it's also given me different base value moralities. For example, like in my household, let's say you come in and meet my dad, right? In a Nigerian household, morality is, hello, sir. That's morality for us. That's how you show respect to your elders. You call a man sir, you call a woman ma. Like, you don't do hi Steve, hi Bob. So I think, and even now me as I'm older, like when I meet people's parents, obviously I'm not gonna do all of that because they're not Nige, but I'm gonna still say hi sir, hi. And I've said it to some people's parents and they're almost like, what? So I think a large part of who we are, decisions we make, judgment calls we make, the morals, our choices, is just based off the things that we've experienced in life. If you saw your dad punching up your mum, when you see somebody else punch up their girl, you might not think that's that bad because that's all you've seen in all your life. That's normal. I think we as a society, and I think especially we as young men, and even speaking to young men out there, I think you need to make your judgment call based off of the positives that you see in life. Because like a lot of us growing up when we were younger, our direction was steered by a lot of negative stuff that we saw in life, and it made us make those choices that we knew weren't right. So obviously as you get older, it's almost like, what are the things that I know are good, but I personally don't follow them because of X, Y, and Z. Let me tap into that a little bit more. Let me look at that a bit more. Let me watch that a little bit more. And then your morals naturally will start to shift from point A, and it will slowly move to point B, because your friendship groups might change. What you taking on social media might change. The music you listen to might change. Like, I drink, right? I drink alcohol. When I was younger, I used to drink vodka. Vodka used to make me really, really aggressive. I don't know why. I would go out on a night out, I'll drink vodka, and I'm not even trying to say like I'm some bad man, but like I'll drink vodka and I'll just get vexed for no reason, bro. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Somebody will bump into me in the club and I'm thinking, nah, I'm Mike Tyson. Like, do you get what I'm saying? As I got older, I clocked that, I can't drink vodka anymore. Yeah. So it's being old enough to, and you could say vodka is like a euphemism or whatever the saying is, but you could say vodka is like a metaphor for life. Like, that stuff that is negative in your life, it gets to a point where you look at it and go, rah, every night I go out, I'm on scrapping. What does rum taste like? Do you get what I'm saying? You try a bit of rum and then somebody bumps into you in the club, 5 minutes later you man are doing shots together at a bar. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think life is such a healing and beautiful thing that I think it's difficult to decide what is the main point of what makes us good and moral people.
Right, so if we're going back to the original question, can you give an answer? Do you feel like you would be able to give an answer?
Ask the original question again, please.
Loyalty versus integrity. If your friend had publicly done something that was morally wrong, do you stand by them or do you cut them off?
An answer.
Yeah.
That's cool. After the intense conversations we had, I can say, can I answer? I don't think I can answer because, bro, you need to give me a scenario.
But the thing is, like, how you answer
one scenario will be different to another. I just feel like it depends on.
Let's say if you stand on something that you don't tolerate at all, like there's no. Okay. Yeah, see it that way.
Okay, so you ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, loyalty versus integrity. If your friend had done something publicly and morally wrong, so they've done something that's morally wrong that you don't stand on, and it's been perceived in the public, are you standing by them or are you cutting them off?
You're getting cut off.
Cut off.
Immediately, bro.
Scissors.
Cut off quickly. I would not bat an eyelid either. If you go against something I stand on, I can't be cool with you.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yeah, word. I think stand on business. If you've done something that I've deemed that, if you do that, I can't be boys with you, I'm cutting you off. Yeah. Like, I have to, because how do you wake up and say, he's done that thing that I hate? Now I'm spudding him, we booked a holiday together, we're going X, Y, and Z place. I can't. It is always case by case, but then that line, I think, should never be crossed. And I think as well, as my friend, as my brethren for X amount of years, you know my line. Yeah. The fact that you've crossed my line after knowing it, it's like Kay saying to me, I don't like when man steps on my crepes. If you step on my crepe, I'm gonna cut you off. And I just start standing on his shoes. He's gonna look at me like, you're not you can't actually be my brethren because I've told you that's the one thing that I don't like. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think again, I think you guys are giving very good dialogue, and we've had a very healthy discussion around this. I think everyone's giving honest answers. Knowing what I've known of you guys as well, I believe that you guys would definitely do that. And I think based on standing on principles that I've been raised on, I believe I would cut that friend off. I think the difference that I'll probably have is I'll probably be able to forgive the person if they were really truly sorry. But I don't know if I would ever be able to be friends with them again. And regardless of you believe in forgiveness as well. So
I feel like it might sound crazy to the public and people might think this guy's just chatting, but you could do anything in this world, and like I could get over it in a sense of my heart can forgive you. I might never be cool with you again and I might not like you, but I can forgive your actions in a sense of like, that's it. Do you get me? Like, what now? What's me hating you gonna do?
I think people believe forgiveness means acceptance, and it just doesn't. They're two different things. They're not mutually exclusive. I can forgive you, but my heart doesn't need to accept you. But my heart isn't heavy in weighted by the things that you have done. And I can wholeheartedly say, you know what, bro, I forgive you. It's sweet, it's cool, whatever. But this is no longer.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you. And thank you for another episode of Between Sets. As always, on to the next one.